So welcome to Parashat Toldot, and in this parasha, the Alshech answers three questions that have been bothering me for a long time. The first is, if the purpose of the world was to bring the Torah, why did it take God 2,000 years to do it? The second question is, if God really loves the Avot, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, why does he give them so many difficult challenges? And the third question is, how is it possible for a righteous man like Yitzchak, married to a righteous woman, Rivka, to produce a son like Esav? And the answers to all of these are in the first three Pesukim of Toldot, which starts like this. Ve'ele Toldot Yitzchak ben Avraham. Avraham holid Yitzchak. And you can see immediately that there are so many redundancies. Firstly, Ve'ele. What does Ve'ele refer to? It refers to a previous parasha. What is the relevance of that with this? And secondly, we already know that Yitzchak is the son of Abraham. Why are you repeating that here? And furthermore, why repeat yet again that Abraham gave birth to begot Yitzchak? Full of redundancies, and yet the Alshech beautifully weaves up all these redundancies to answer the questions. So in addition to the questions we've just asked now, he also asks, why is it that it is now, specifically now, that you're telling me that Isaac is 40 years old when he marries Rivka? And why do you have to repeat that Rivka is the daughter of Betuel, the Arami, and also the sister of Lavan? All the things that we know already. And if Yitzchak was the son of Avram, in other words, whatever happened to Avram happened to Yitzchak, just as Avraham was destined to have two children, one impure, one pure, and Yitzchak was as well. If that was the case, why didn't Yitzchak marry a maidservant like Hagar with Abraham, have the child with her, and then have the pure child with his wife Rivka? And also, why did they have to have twins? This whole idea of twins and the idea of Jacob having to succumb to 9 months in the womb with Esav. Wow, Rivka was having a terrible time in her pregnancy as a result of that battle becoming. So these are the questions. To answer these questions, the Alshech brings out an amazing midrash, which goes like this, that the Torah was destined to be given to the 1,000th generation. But because Hashem saw that it wouldn't be possible for the world to sustain itself for 1,000 generations, he disposed of 974 and gave the Torah on the 26th generations to the Jewish nation. How do we understand this? I mean, are you saying to me that the pollution of the snake is going to take 1,000 generations to be eliminated from mankind, and that the Torah could not be given until that happens? That's an incredible thought. And what does Hashem do? He wants to give the Torah to each person, to each individual directly. And for that, each person has to be merit to have that prophecy, and in order to do that, there can be no pollution of the snake in the body. So what does Hashem do? He decides to take a small group of people, the Bnei Israel, and to give them like a turbo cleanse, to cleanse the pollution out in a matter of 26 generations. And then we get to the place that we can be purified enough to receive the Torah. And that's what happens. So how does Hashem purify the Jewish nation within a matter of 26 generations? And the answer is astounding. And that is that Hashem gives tests and challenges in a very extraordinary way to Abraham and his descendants, right until the giving of the Torah in Mitzrayim, including the 400 years of slavery. And it is this process of challenges and overcoming challenges that cleanse the nation to be able to remove completely the effect of the pollution of the snake and to receive the Torah. So the Torah goes to extreme extents to show us and demonstrate us the purity of Yitzchak. They do that by, the Torah does that by explaining to us that Avraham, before he had Yitzchak, he had a son Ishmael from the wife Hagar. And Hagar had, because she was from Mitzrayim, had the ability of pulling in or pulling out of Abraham the effect of the pollution of the snake. In addition to that, we have to remember that Ishmael was born before Abraham was circumcised. We know that the impurity of the snake is concentrated in the foreskin of the member, and when that foreskin is removed through the Brit Milah, we're removing the majority of that impurity. So Yitzchak was born after the circumcision of Avram. In addition, Avram was 100 years old by that stage, and we learned that it took Avram 100 years to master his evil inclination, to become a master of the evil inclination, which is actually our way of overcoming the sin of Adam. In addition, when you look at Sarah, Sarah was 90 years old. This is after her natural menstruation. And we learned from the previous parasha that one of the sins of Chava was the nidah, the menstrual cycle. And because Sarah was past that time of her life, the effect of the pollution of the snake was much less with her. And also we know that Yitzchak was given the test of the Akedah, and in that process of the Akedah, his soul was offered as an olat tamim, a pure offering to God, and that process was a process of purification as well. So we come to the fact that when Yitzchak was born, you have a very pure son. And then he takes Rivka. And Rivka, we remember from last week's parasha that Rivka had the same essence of Sarah. When she was brought to the tent of Sarah, the 3 miracles that Sarah enjoyed continued with Rivka. So she was a very high tzedeket. So then how is it possible that these 2 very high pure souls produce an Esav? And it's fascinating because we learn in the third line of the parasha, Vayetar Yitzchak Ladonai lenochach ishto, and Yitzchak prays to God in front of his wife, ki akara hi, because she was barren. And what is this prayer? The Alshech says that Yitzchak is praying to God and saying, God, I only love Rivka. I only want that whatever children I have, they should come from Rivka. And what is Rivka praying? God, I only love Yitzchak. Please let it be that my only children come from Yitzchak. And the answer is, God answers them and he says, Veyater lo, and he answers him. Note that Yitzchak's prayer is answered. Bataher Rivka ishto, and she gives birth. And what happens is that God says, okay, you want to have only one wife? I respect that, I understand that, but this is how it's going to have to happen. You, Rivka, are going to have to be both the maidservant of Yitzchak and his wife. Through the maidservant of Yitzchak, you will have the son Esav, and through being the wife, the merit of being the wife of Yitzchak, you will have the son, the pure son, Yaakov. And the Alshech says that when she conceived, she conceived as twins, and God brings the holy soul of Yaakov from the highest elevation of the heavens, and he brings the impure soul of Esav from the Klippah. And from the very outset, the 2 are fighting and struggling together to have dominion one over the other. And it's interesting that when it says the words V'taher Rivka ishto, V'taher Rivka she gives birth. Rivka gives birth. This is from her natural side of her environmental side. She gives birth to Esav, and that's why we have to have the repetition that she was the daughter of Betuel and the sister of Lavan. Although Rivka was a pure tzedeket herself, she was in an environment that wasn't pure, and so there was some remnants of that, and that had to come out in Esav. So in her capacity as a maidservant, as her capacity as a woman who was born in the house of Betuel and Lavan, Esav had to be born. But in her capacity of Ishto, the wife of Isaac, she was destined to have Yaakov. And then this is how the battle of Esav and Yaakov begins, and we start a whole new path of learning after that. So I hope you've enjoyed these very few beautiful insights to the first three sentences. I want to invite you this week to explore that with us. We have the blessing of having Rav Alon Rom to our live podcast on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We'll be asking some beautiful questions to get further clarity on Parashat Toldot. I hope you'll meet us there, and in the meantime, have a wonderful and blessed week. God bless. Thank you. If you like this wisdom, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and stay up to date.